Coming up on Network Africa, President of Angola, opposition presidential candidates as well as citizens vote in the country's election. Ethiopia and Tigray trade blame over fresh fighting. Plus, South Africa faces a shutdown amid a nationwide strike. Unions hope protest over cost of living. Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olaride. We begin in Ethiopia, the Tigray crisis, where the Ethiopian government is blaming Tigrayan forces for starting fresh fighting along the region's borders. The government's communications office say they have breached a humanitarian truce that has been in place since March. Well, their statement comes after the Tigrayans accused the government of launching attacks on their southern positions from neighboring Amhara. The trading of accusations makes it clear that after months of calm, the two sides are now engaged in active fighting. Well, Addis Ababa's statement adds that the army and security forces were responding to the attacks successfully. The latest developments appear to worsen a humanitarian crisis in that country that has wreaked the Horn of Africa since the start of the war in late 2020. Thousands of people across South Africa are taking part in a national strike to protest the rising cost of living and economic woes in the country. Two of the country's largest unions are leading the strike, calling for a total shutdown of the economy in protest against high unemployment levels and rising fuel and electricity costs. Marches are expected in all provinces, with the largest rallies likely to be in Cape Town and Pretoria.
Different South African trade unions marched through the streets of several cities today. In Pretoria, they took their protest to the union buildings, the seat of government, demanding changes from the government regarding the country's economic challenges. Despite government issuing a statement that workers who participate in the strike will face the no work, no pay policy, workers came out in their numbers to voice their grievances.
The high cost of living disproportionately affects the poor. So it's the poorest of the poor that are actually suffering, because if you're rich, you're not really feeling the pinch. Maybe the pinch for you is not being able to buy, your favorite pair of shoes when you want to. But for ordinary South Africans, it's a big problem.
You cannot, out of good conscience, offer workers, a meager salary, given the economic situation that we find ourselves in. We're hoping that this sends a very firm message, not only to the government but to the private sector as well, because they will be affected by the fact that workers are today, have decided to withdraw their labor, and that of course will have an impact on the day-to-day running of the economy.
The cost of living is too high. Electricity is high. Everything is high. So we are here to demand jobs for young people. 8 million people are unemployed. Yesterday, the Stats SA released the stats. People are unemployed. We need jobs. Young people must go to work.
Added to the woes is this Wednesday's announcement by Stats SA that the consumer price inflation has hit a 13-year high, rising to 7.8% in July. This, it says, is due to the increases in the price of staple food like bread, cooking oil, as well as fuel and electricity. Economic analysts say the national shutdown, which aims to address the high cost of living, could further cause damage to an already ailing economy.
Negative consequences of any shutdown, if ever people will support it, I don't think that many people will support it, is that the people will take part in that will actually be destroying the economy, because if they are not there at work, it means there'll be no production. And if ever there's no production, we are going to see the economic growth rate in South Africa contracting more and more.
Definitely, it will have an impact, and that's the reason why they're doing that during a working week, so that the government can feel the pain, so that businesses can feel the pain. If it gets to be done on a Sunday, then who's going to feel it? Who's going to take it them serious? So yes, It is expected to do that, but it depends on how many people will be able to not go to work, because we see there's some mixed feelings. Other people feel that, listen, we'll still go to work.
The impact may not have been felt hard this time, as the taxi associations shunned the strike action, but those who turned out are undaunted. They say the only way for government to hear this is through strikes like these, which they believe are more impactful. Whether their voices will be heard, whether life will get better, remains to be seen. From Pretoria, South Africa, Brian Pugeni, Channels Television News.
Well, Brian joins us now for more on this. Hello, Brian. It's good to have you on the program. In your report there, you said it remains to be seen if the government is going to be listening to them. But these unions adamant, and they say they're going to be out on the streets to protest. Is the government really listening to them? Have we heard anything in the wake of these protests?
Good day. Thank you for having me. Well, the trade unions meeting today, marching in different cities all over the country, taking their demands to government offices and different government offices. Today we are in Pretoria at the union buildings, where they marched different trade unions from COSATU, SAFTU, and other organizations marching to the union buildings to give the memorandum to government, which was received by the minister in the presidency, Mondli Gungubele. Well, what government is saying is that they're going to take the unions and the members and the workers memorandum to heart and go and look at it and get back to them. We don't know how long that is going to take, but what we're hearing from members are saying they are going to continue striking until all their grievances are heard. Most of their grievances are against the high cost of living, which is mostly high food prices, high electricity prices, high fuel costs. So many South Africans and many workers are saying what they are getting, what they're being paid is not enough to sustain them on a monthly basis.
Well, for the average South African citizen, how are they reacting to this protest?
Well, everyone is not happy at the moment because the cost of living, like I said, is quite high. Today we received statistics from Stats SA that the CPI has gone up to a record 13-year high, which is 7.8%, which means the cost of living is actually going to go up again in the next coming months with food prices soaring. We've seen the cost of cooking oil, bread. These are your staple foods, which are quite high. So most people are really struggling at the moment in different households, especially your medium-term households. Most households are really struggling because the average South African does not get paid that much. So what they're saying is that either salaries are increased or government finds a way to reduce this price and so that cost of living can be affordable for the average South African.
All right then, Brian Pugeni, our South Africa correspondent, thank you. The United Nations has warned that thousands of people in South Sudan are trapped by heavy fighting between rival armed groups. Flooding in the north of the country, which has also led to dozens of deaths, has also hindered their escape. Well, since the fighting began 10 days ago in the northern town of Tonga, the UN says only about 200 people have been able to flee to safety in Malakal, the state capital. It's not clear what triggered the clashes, but South Sudan is reeling from months of intercommunal fighting caused by tribal feuds, cattle rustling, and long-running border issues. The clashes are putting at risk a fragile peace deal that was signed in 2018 that's designed to end more than 6 years of civil war. Well, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, ICC, Karim Khan, is raising concern about the situation in Darfur. Addressing the Security Council from Khartoum, Sudan, Mr. Khan says the simple truth is that the nightmare for thousands of Darfuris has not ended. It is the first time in ICC history that a prosecutor briefed the Security Council from a situation country. Mr. Khan stresses the need to collectively find ways to move forward and is asking the Council to consider holding a session in Sudan to learn more from some survivors.
The simple truth is that the nightmare for thousands of Darfuris has not ended. And that nightmare of their experiences in large part continues because meaningful justice and accountability has not been felt in the manner that is required, or in my respectful view, was anticipated by the Council in 2005. If we don't manage to deal with historic abuses, the cases that are well known in Sudan, a cycle of impunity may well continue and other cycles of violence take place. Why should people comply with the law? Why should they be concerned about public international law or international humanitarian law when they see time and time again people doing what they want and getting away with it? But the only thing I must insist upon is what you have required and what the victims demand, which is justice. And I think if we recommit ourselves and actually insist upon cooperation and build trust, hopefully we can vindicate fully the decision of this Council to refer the matter in the first place.
Uganda is set to install 2,000 Wi-Fi hotspots across the country in a new project aimed at improving internet connectivity in the country. Well, the internet is to be used by government offices during working hours and will be available to the public past working hours and during weekends. The government had already installed hotspots in regional cities and the capital, Kampala, although critics say the internet still remains unstable. The additional hotspots will be installed in every location where the government's national backbone infrastructure exists. Well, the project is part of the Uganda Digital Acceleration Program. Well, back here in Nigeria, as part of efforts to restore the original master plan of Kaduna State, Governor Nasir El-Rufai's administration has completed the Second River Kaduna Bridge, linking Kaduna North and South local government areas. The 230 meters bridge, which stretches to Aliyu Makama Road in Kaduna North, was awarded in 2020 and is aimed at decongesting the heavy traffic in the city centre.
Kaduna State is the former capital of the defunct northern region. With a population of over 6 million people, according to the 2006 population census figures. Over the years, the state is faced with infrastructure deficit. Abreast of this infrastructural challenge, the Governor Nasir El-Rufai administration in 2019 launched the Urban Renewal Project, which is aimed at bridging the infrastructure gap and also connecting cities to one another. One of the components of the Urban Renewal Project is the completion of the Second River Kaduna Bridge and other roads within the metropolis.
Easily from Barnawa, you can go to town without any problem, without any hold-on. So we appreciate your life.
As they finish for Barnawa side, I'm very happy that this side will remain now. If the government can able to finish, everything go there okay for people.
We are expected to have a boost in economic activities. You know, investors are expected to now take opportunity, take advantage of the abundant infrastructure in Kaduna State to do their business as usual, to ease their business rather. So apart from connectivity and everything, you know that this is very important to us, having the investors, you know, to create jobs and create wealth as well. So this is very important. Of course, you agree with me.
Besides the bridge, several other road projects have been completed in Kaduna, Zaria, and Kafanchan, while many others are at their various stages of completion.
Building this bridge, a person from Kabbalah can reach Barnawa in a matter of minutes by trekking. So I think it's a very good thing. Connecting us with people of Barnawa might bring more connections between us and them, and even, like I said, more commercial activities to the people of Kabbalah.
Whenever there is flood, we start packing our things even before the water will get to our house. But since this government come, we're enjoying what it's doing. At least we have gutter now. Water is flowing the way it's supposed to be.
Since the inception of the Governor El-Rufai administration in 2015, the government has shown commitments to the continued construction and maintenance of road infrastructure with the aim of improving the socio-economic activities of the people.
Still ahead on the program, we'll tell you how a Zimbabwean nanny saved the Duchess of Sussex baby Archie from a fire. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the program. A Kenya Airways plane flying from New York to Nairobi had to be diverted to Morocco after a passenger on board died. The airline, in a statement, said the death happened on Monday. The flight had to be diverted to Casablanca, Morocco, where medical personnel at the airport found that the passenger was unresponsive and was confirmed to have passed away. Kenya media reports that the passenger had developed breathing complications, and his family members are quoted as saying that the passenger had an underlying condition. All the medics on board the flight are reported to have expressed concern about the passenger's organs showing signs of rapid failure. Well, let's head now to Angola, where the citizens have been voting in a general election, which is expected to be the most closely fought since its independence in 1975. The country's president and candidate of the ruling party, João Lourenço, has cast his vote alongside opposition presidential candidate. Well, the National Electoral Commission expects 14.4 million registered voters to cast their votes across over 13,000 polling stations in the country and also in diaspora.
According to state-owned broadcaster TPA, President Lourenço is the first presidential candidate to cast his vote in the elections, which have been described by analysts as highly contested. Lourenço, who is seeking re-election, voted in the early morning at a polling station in Luanda, surrounded by heavy security. He encouraged citizens to go out and cast their votes.
We have just exercised the right to vote. It is fast and simple, so we advise all eligible citizens to do the same. In the end, we all win. Democracy wins, and Angola wins.
As the presidential candidate of Angola's main opposition party, Adalberto da Costa Jr., cast his vote, he called for election laws to be respected. Mr. Jr. was accompanied by his wife and a jubilant crowd.
I urge all to vote, and that nobody goes without fulfilling this great opportunity, because the elections are a celebration. My expectation is that the day goes normally, that it is tranquil, and that at the end of the day, all votes are respected, all results are placed at the polling stations as the law says, and that Angola celebrates its choices.
Angola's only female presidential candidate, Florbela Malaquias, also cast her vote. The 63-year-old lawyer and former journalist is running for president among 7 men. Ms. Malaquias is running on the Humanist Party of Angola ticket. She's a former member of the main opposition UNITA party.
Looking at the path our country is in, I think it's very important to elect a new president who maybe can change the current status of Angola.
Angola's youth make up over half of the country's voters, but many feel forgotten. Youth unemployment reached an all-time high last year. Young people are now eager for change amid the high cost of living that has made life harder for many. Analysts say tweaked vote counting rules may delay official results by days, raising tensions, which some fear may boil over into violence.
Well, women do not have to die during childbirth, and that's the primary idea behind the intervention of the United Nations Population Fund in some states in the northeast of Nigeria. Channels Television's Wim Bitrus visited Muna IDP camp, which is one of the communities in the 3 local government areas of Borno State, presently enjoying a free ride to healthcare facilities for maternity and other medical attention. The intervention also covers sensitization outreaches, free medical kits, and more.
Armed with a stretcher, first aid box, a seat and space for luggage. This mini tricycle has come to be a part of the everyday life of residents of some IDP camps in the northeast states of Nigeria, particularly in Borno, Adamawa and Yobe. With a primary target of providing mobility support for pregnant women needing medical attention, the vehicle has served over 211 women in labor since its launch about 2 years ago. But this class of persons are not the only beneficiaries of the project. One of such by the United Nations Population Fund and its partner, the Korea International Cooperation Agency.
So sometimes they will deliver at home. If you go there for sensitization, we now use the KK ambulance to bring them back to the clinic for postnatal care, to give them their postnatal care. After then, the ambulance will now take them back home again. But before, it was not like that. During our postnatal, we used to have few women, but now it has increased.
The tricycles are specially built so it can navigate the hard-to-reach part of the communities of operation.
So we're talking about gender-based violence. There are situations where someone is raped or gang raped or injured, maybe through domestic violence, intimate partner violence, very bad, we've seen very bad cases, and life-threatening, So they can come in there, no matter how inaccessible, especially to motor vehicles. The KK can find its way and take that person to the hospital or take the person to safety.
Wania Lee is one of the over 52,000 internally displaced persons living in this camp and a beneficiary of the intervention.
I started benefiting from this auto rickshaw ambulance when I got pregnant with my first child. The pregnancy was 2 months and it became very difficult for me to attend antenatal. So I started using the auto rickshaw to the clinic and I have been using it ever since.
According to the UNFPA, before 2020, over 80% pregnant women delivered at home, and that with a high maternal and newborn mortality recorded, that will no longer be.
It is beneficial, especially for those at the IDP camps, because it's always available. Usually it's residing in the IDP camps. So whenever they need it, they will just call. The drivers are staying with them. They will just call them and then it's accessible for them 247.
They told me that the rate of maternal mortality ratio has reduced drastically because of the impact that the KK have impacted on their life. No more maternal deaths, no more hardship to get to antenatal clinic or help when they are pregnant. I'm so happy about that.
There are 15 of these vehicles across Borno State, and response time is between 5 to 10 minutes.
And finally, on the program, the Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, has been talking about how her son's Zimbabwean nanny saved him from being involved in a nursery fire on a trip to South Africa back in 2019. While speaking during an interview on her new podcast about the pressures of being a mother, Meghan describes how she was expected to carry on performing in public after learning about the accident. She says that she had just arrived in South Africa and had to go straight to an engagement, while her son, Archie, was being looked after by his nanny, Lauren, who she says is from Zimbabwe. Well, according to the Duchess, Lauren was supposed to put him down for a nap, but just before she tied him on her back and left the nursery to get a snack, it was in that time that a heater caught fire out in the nursery. The Duchess says she had to maintain the appearance of everything being fine and get on with the job when all she wanted to do was be with Archie at that time. And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.